Welcome to the Radiate Wellness Podcast. I'm your host, Christy Clemens Hoffman. Each week we will discuss tools, tips, and ways to radiate your best life ever, interviewing practitioners, authors, and luminaries to help you on your path. Wellness, joy, peace, abundance. What do you want to radiate? Hello and welcome to the Radiate Wellness Podcast. Today we radiate awakening with Keira Poulsen. Keira is an intuitive, an energetic healer, and creator. She has created the spiritual entrepreneur, an all-inclusive and everything people need to succeed in their work as a leader of light. She teaches people who feel a desire to share their message, their gifts, and their work with the world. She's also the creator and host of the Awaken Podcast, a show that talks about awakening the greatness inside of each human. Thank you so much for joining me today. You've got quite an impressive background and resume.
Well, I am so excited to be here. So thank you for making the space and time.
I'm so honored. And you're in Idaho, which is basically my second home. That's where my part of my family lives, up in the Panhandle. It's beautiful, isn't it?
Oh, it's so beautiful here. I love it here.
Oh, that is fantastic. So this spiritual entrepreneur, tell us about this program that you've created.
So I don't know about you, but everything I create is always like shifting and changing and at all times. So here's how it works now is that I actually own a publishing house and it's called Freedom House Publishing Co., where we liberate women's stories. So it's a publishing house for women who have messages of hope and healing and light to bring them into published books. And so what I created was the spiritual entrepreneur to support these authors, because what I see happen is that these powerful leaders write these messages and they put these books into the world and then they collapse. It's like an invert happens afterwards. And so what I've done is I've created a digital course and a mastermind to show them how to take their message and put it into a successful business of light using spiritual tools, because that's the playground I like to play in. So I teach them how to do their digital courses and create podcasts and coaching programs while using spiritual rituals and tools that make it a whole lot easier. And so they can really succeed as leaders of light and their messages expand as far as we can possibly reach.
That is amazing. And how long have you been doing this work?
So you're going to laugh. I literally started my business 4 years ago when I had my awakening. So that's why I'm all about awakenings, because it's literally like I became quickened. Like something happened when I chose to wake up. And what would take someone 15 years is literally taking me 4 years' time, because I use spiritual tools. And that's why I'm so passionate about it.
Oh my gosh. Now, what is your spiritual background, if I might ask?
So I would say religion and spiritual are pretty different for me. So I grew up very religious in a pretty tight religious family of the LDS faith. So the Mormon faith is where I was raised. And when I had my moment of breaking and awakening, it broke everything as awakenings do, right? So my experience with religion broke and every other area of my life broke. And I just really landed in finding God for myself. And what that is for me is just deep, deep prayer, lots of guidance given to me spiritually, and spending a lot of time with this spiritual aspect of myself instead of so much of the physical.
What did the people around you think when you had this awakening?
Well, I was pretty private. I mean, I have 5 kids. So there's a part where you're like, yeah, I might be breaking, but that also doesn't mean that I get to just lay in my bed all day. I have 5 people to feed and clothe and drive. So I was pretty silent about it. My husband knew that I was going through it. But then at some point it just kind of exploded out of my body, and I wrote a book, and then everyone knew about my breaking, and people have been pretty welcoming and kind. So I've been lucky.
Well, I know when we go through a spiritual awakening like that, things break. Relationships don't make sense anymore. We're no longer the same people we are. And that's not okay for some folks. That the Keira they know is no longer the same person. But I'm so glad that you did not have that experience of having everything fall apart.
I was lucky that, my husband, I have lots of compassion because who we married 19 years ago is not who this is.
Exactly.
And he's really been so open. When I began my chanting practices, he was like, "What's happening to you?"
Wait, you went from LDS to chanting? Wow.
So he's just so open-minded and hearted, and has really gone on some crazy, wild slip and slides with me, I will call it.
Gosh, that's crazy. Well, lucky you. That's wonderful. And how wonderful for your children that they get to grow up with this expanded mindset. How old are your kids?
My youngest is 6 and my oldest is 16. So we've got a whole range in there. Mm-hmm.
That's quite a range. And are they opening up and expanding as well?
I try. I would say my 6-year-old, he's grown up with me like this. So he actually will sneak into my sacred space in the morning. And if I'm chanting, he actually has memorized the chants and will sit and chant with me. And it's just probably one of my most tender, softest moments as a mother is chanting with him. And my older ones, I'm trying to teach them how to set aside time for prayer and writing, like asking that they receive. And it's slow. It's slow. This is a progress.
Yeah, they'll come around to it. I'm sure they will, because they're pretty. Children's minds are pretty malleable, and they can adjust and adapt very easily. So well,
I will say though, my 9-year-old. So I have 4 boys and 1 girl. My 9-year-old is my little girl. And she's very intuitive. She's very gifted. When she was 2, she would tell me there were spirits in her room, and I would have to teach her how to clear them out. And she one day, I had ordered some kid affirmation cards, and she said, "I think I have things to write." I said, "Fabulous. Why don't you write?" And for 2 hours, she sat and she just literally channeled 40 affirmations, and they're like out of this world, glorious truths come from the heavens. And I said, "Well, let's publish it. I have a publishing house. Let's publish this book." And I said, she said, "What's the title?" And I'm like, "No, you need to sit in prayer and meditation and see what you receive." And the next morning she came to me and she said, "The title of the book is called The Power of Light."
Oh my goodness, 9 years old.
So her book will be coming out November. We will publish her, and she will be a published author at 9.
That is so exciting, Keira. Oh my goodness. Now, a publishing... So, okay, let me just back up because I'm getting ahead of myself, right? So you have this breakthrough, you have this spiritual awakening, everything's breaking apart and reforming, beautiful butterfly coming out. And then not only do you have this huge spiritual awakening, but you start a publishing house and create a program and create this whole business around this awakening in 4 years. So what was your background before that?
So my background was... I think I've always been an entrepreneur. I was 12 teaching dance to all the kids in my neighborhood, and I created a business when I was 12. So I think that's always been in me. But I have a background of being a massage therapist. So I spent 20 years in the field of massage, which actually was where I feel like I began to understand energy, and I really began to understand the body, and then the body would speak to me. And then probably 10 years ago is when I started learning energy healing. Both my parents are healers, so I learned their different modalities and kind of made my own. And so healing has been a part of my world for a very long time.
Oh my gosh, do your children share that as well?
My little 9-year-old does. She definitely, she is very intuitive, and it's very fun to watch her healing gifts just show up.
That is beautiful. So you grew up basically entrepreneurial and had this kind of entrepreneurial spirit. What about the intuitive aspect of it? Did you grow up intuitive as well?
I would say yes, but I didn't know. So I grew up very afraid. I was always afraid. And I would say the key phrase I always said growing up was, I don't have a good feeling about this. Everything was like, I don't have a good feeling about this. And I had no idea it was because I was obviously like really empathic. So I was feeling everybody's stuff and very intuitive. But when I had my awakening, which was all my memories of being abused as a child came to the front. Sure. And I'd always known they were there, but I'd never actually experienced the pain of them. Yeah. And they got pulled up like a big old willow tree, just gnarly. And when that happened, my spiritual gifts actually really came to the top, and I began to see through the veil, and spirits were showing up quite regularly. And then I asked that I would stop seeing them. It was just too much, raising 5 kids and having people come and asking for help from the other side was I didn't know how to manage it.
Sure.
So when I asked God to take it away, I lost my sense of smell. So I haven't had my sense of smell for about 4 years.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
Yeah. Isn't that weird?
That's weird. I
know.
Wow.
I wanted to see what you thought about that.
Well, okay. So immediately, I'm starting to think, I'm just things are starting to churn. So I know that the sense of smell is associated with clairsentience, which is just like any type of feeling in the body that gives us intuition. So do you feel like the other aspects, the other sensory, senses are heightened? What happened with them?
Yes. So my gifts of visions is very, very, very strong. I can sit with somebody that I'm coaching at any time, close my eyes, and I'm shown a vision immediately for them. Mm-hmm. So I can see visions really well. And I can receive really easily. So I can sit down and I can receive a podcast in 5 minutes. I can receive a blog. I can receive very quickly. Yeah. So I would say those two got really enhanced.
Support for the Radiate Wellness podcast is made possible in part by listeners like you. Would you like to support this podcast? Visit radiatewellnesscommunity.com/podcast for more information.
But so this is also weird. So I'm getting all weird on your show.
Heck yeah, I'm for it. I am here for that.
So I had this vision of the Divine Mother the day I was supposed to publish my book, and I'd never even really experienced her or knew who she was. That was not really a part of my upbringing.
Now, is this Mother Mary, Kuan Yin? Is this the Divine Feminine?
For me, that's the thing, because now I understand who Kuan Yin is, and I know all these other, forms of her. So when this vision came, I didn't know anything. And I was about to publish my first book, which is called The Hidden Gifts Within the Trauma of Sexual Abuse. Yeah. It was super, super intense for me to launch this. And I was like, I'm not going to do it. No one knows I'm a survivor. I don't really want to tell this to the world. And I went into meditation that morning, and I had this vision of this woman, and she looked like me. And so I thought, oh, this is my higher self coming to give me some you can do it, Keira. But then she wrapped me in her arms, and I just remembered her. And it was just like, this is a divine mother. Like, this is my divine mother. And then she just said, like, I look like you because you're in me and I'm in you. And it was just this very clear, like, oh, I have this divine mother presence I didn't know about. And then she became very regular in my experience. And so I couldn't smell, but when she would show up, I could smell rosemary. So anytime I smelled rosemary, I knew she was there. So it was my only smell that I still currently have. And so I always have rosemary with me.
Right. That must, not having a sense of smell must affect your appetite and all kinds of other strange things.
You would think, but it didn't. It's just the smell. You would think maybe I could get some bonus benefits of not smelling, but no, it's just the smell. It's really interesting.
Oh, that is very, very interesting. But the Divine Mother showing up, I think that is so beautiful and so important. You know, so many women, well, not even just women, so many people are on the planet right now who are waking up to this sexual trauma that they've had, sexual abuse, rape even, and telling their stories and going through their healing, and they're finding they're not alone. I see them in my office all the time. And so, did you ever publish the book that...
I did.
You did? You published it? What is the title again? That was the first book.
It's called The Hidden Gifts Within the Trauma of Sexual Abuse.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Because I found so many gifts in that trauma.
Okay. Let's take a little deeper dive into that. What gifts did you find?
Well, I found that it opened up a space for me to be a seeker. Because of the level of pain that I had always experienced, whether I knew what it was from or not, I was always seeking. And the seeking has led to this glorious life that I live now. And so I find that is one of the greatest gifts, is to be a seeker.
Yeah. Now, how do you define seeker?
So for me, I was always seeking to learn. What new healing modality can I learn? What new book can I read? What new goddess can I learn about? Like, where is the light? Where is the light? Where is the light? Always finding light. And I think that my pain created that muscle of seeking.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty profound. I think the converse is true too. There are many people who have that background and that experience who, instead of opening up to seeking and understanding and growing, but shut down instead. Right? They don't expand themselves, and they don't seek, and they don't look for deeper meaning and healing around it, but they shut down instead. Would you have any words to give someone who's having a very difficult time with that experience?
Well, just number one is get support. I wouldn't be here. Like, literally, I wouldn't be alive. I wouldn't have lived through all of the suicide ideation that comes from having that kind of trauma past if I didn't have the therapists, the healers, the support teams. I mean, there is so much available. Find support.
Yeah. It does get better.
It does. It does get better.
And you can heal from this. And you don't have to hold on to the anger and the shame and the blame and all else. Thank you for sharing that story. I didn't really intend this to be heavy or dark or anything, but I know that yours is a story that can be healing and helpful for many, many people.
Yeah.
You have many other wonderful books too. Can you talk a bit about the other books that you have out there?
So I only have one other book currently, and it's called Rise Up and Awaken to the Joy of Being Human.
I love that.
And I felt very guided to create, it's like a guide / daily journal. So it's about 8 chapters on how to feel joy every day.
Yeah.
And how to release suffering so that you can feel joy. And I think that's the power in my story, is that like I actually really do get suffering, and I actually really do get the heavy, heavy darkness and pain that people feel. And I know that joy actually deletes suffering. And when we can awaken the joy in our bodies, even in the simple moments of looking out and seeing the wind on the leaves of the tree and allow ourselves to feel the joy that comes from that, we actually get to delete the suffering that is caving in our lives. And I have a real passion for that.
Isn't that amazing? Sometimes we're just so deep in our pain and our despair that just finding joy can be a challenge.
It can.
So, it can,
Agreed.
but it's so worth it.
It is.
Yes, and when I'm talking about these other books that you have out there, I am referring to Freedom House.
Oh yes, we have lots of fun books.
In 4 years, you've got some amazing books out there. What are some of the what are some of your favorites?
Oh my gosh, so many.
I know, it's like, which child is your favorite, right?
And actually, Freedom House has only been functioning for the last year.
That's
so
crazy.
All these books have been coming out in a year, and we have 4 new books being published this month. Just like so much fun. Obviously, the one about the Divine Mother, Conversations with the Divine Mother, is such a powerful, I was so lucky to be able to coach her when that book came through, and she wrote it in 4 weeks, which is what happens when we channel light. We don't have to figure it out. We just bring it through. So that one's one of my favorite books. How can I say favorites? They're all my favorites.
Right. I know.
There's one called, I think it's called An Angel Stood Before Me. Mm-hmm. And it's a poetry book about how every person in their life was like an angel, and it just reframes how we view people and situations, and just really powerful. There was this one, what is it? Bare Naked Truth. That one came out this summer. And her story is, if you wanted to hear an awakening story, she was a doctor that left her profession and awakened into new, just like every area of her life has broken, and she has just reemerged stronger and stronger every time. Her story is so powerful.
Oh my God, that is amazing. You have kids' stories too, kids' books.
Yes.
I absolutely love this. Sisters and the Three Bears. I am grateful for my body, and a grateful for my body coloring book. What do you hope? Yeah. What do you hope kids get out of these books?
So every book that we publish, it has to fit the requirement of adding light to the world. That's my qualification for publishing a book. And for me, since I am a mother to 5, children's books they're just a big part of my life. And so when people come to me with these simple books that I know will add light to children, expand them. Christy Hyde is one of our best children's books writers. She actually just published one today. It's called I Love Your Guts. It's so cute. It's so cute. But she wrote a book about crystals and how we just start introducing our children to crystals. And the way I see it is, how do we create a library of books that will heal all ages, that will bring light to all ages? And also, it liberates the authors. These authors, when they put their books out into the world, they're like liberated beings. So I call Freedom House a house of liberation.
Oh, that's beautiful. Liberation publication. That is so cool. I think this one is real cute. Is Romaine Calm and Color On.
Isn't that so cute?
That is so cute. It's a fun coloring book full of cute food, puns, and patterns that are sure to make you smile, just for fun.
Right? Just to bring joy, bring light, help us get back into creativity. I know, right?
I love coloring. It's so crazy. But it's just so relaxing. Fun. Yeah, so much fun. You're doing some amazing stuff here, Keira. And then can you talk a bit about your signature program that you have out there?
So that one right now is my mastermind that allows these authors to come in. They learn the spiritual entrepreneur, but the core of what I teach is my healing practice. It's called the Awaken Practice. It's like a kindergarten schooling, right? Like very basic healing. But if women will just do a 10-minute healing practice every day in one of their chakras, I noticed that they are more successful in business. They're more successful in writing their book. They're more successful in creating, because the old crap that wants to show up and say, you're not good enough. Who are you to write a book? Who are you to launch a business? If you can work in your chakras when that bologna and cheese shows up, you are going to clear through it, and you're going to be on the other side of the mountain tomorrow instead of in 2 months. It's just a really fast way to keep women in their highest vibration. So that's a part of the mastermind as well.
Oh, I love that. And then, of course, you've got the Awaken Podcast, too.
I do.
Can you tell about the Awaken Podcast?
It's all things delicious. So there's really no set rule. A lot of it is just things that I channel through. So a lot of it's just me speaking. But when I meet someone who just lights my heart on fire, I always invite them on, and we just have spiritual conversations of awakening, of creation. And then every author I publish, I actually invite them on, and we talk about the process of them bringing their book through and really launching their message into the world. So it's a place where I get to help the women I lead bring their work to the world in a powerful way. And it's just so fun. I love it.
Isn't podcasting fun?
So fun.
I love it.
I know.
In the model of our podcast, I get to talk to amazing people, and it's just so much fun. I kind of call it by Christy for Christy, because these are things that I love to talk about, and with people who are just amazing and wonderful like you. So you're available online. Information about you is available online. Can you talk a bit about how people can connect with you, how they can find you?
Yeah. Fastest way is honestly to just send me a message on Instagram. My Instagram is Keira Poulsen. Emails, just, I kind of feel like I'm always trying to get my breath up in my emails. So a quick little message is so much faster than an email. And I have so many different ways that I help women. So if there's just this nudge in someone who's listening right now to bring their book alive, bring their work alive spiritually, then just send me a message, because I would be more than happy to chat, talk, listen to how it's going.
Oh my gosh, that's wonderful. I mean, you make it sound so easy to publish a book and get yourself out there. What would you say to someone who's been thinking about writing a book or wondering if they have a book in them?
Yeah. Well, here's what I know about books. So back in the day when I allowed the gift that I had of seeing spirits, there was this experience that I would have where they would show up and I could feel them and I would know it. And that is how I actually experience books. I experience books like they have an essence to them. Like they aren't just paper and a cover. Like there's a soul almost. And I feel like when people know that they have a book to write, it taps on their shoulder and they can't actually ignore it. And the longer you ignore it, the heavier it will get. And the sooner you bring it through, the more liberation you will have in your life. So my inspiration to you, to anybody listening, is if the book is there, ask it what it needs to be said. Like, ask the divine to teach you what this book is here to do, and just receive it. Like, be the vessel that it comes through, because that's how I see it.
Oh my gosh, that's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Well, Keira, is there anything else that we should know about you and the things you bring to the world? Anything else we haven't talked about or touched on?
I don't know. I think we've really played a lot in the areas that I love. One area that I don't think I talk about this much, but I'm seeing it come through, is that I am a little bit of a tech nerd. And I don't know if people would know that, but I love funnels and landing pages and email sequences and all of these things. And that's where I really feel like I get to be a bit of a translator for a lot of the women who come to me, because most are healers. Most are really spiritual beings. And the tech world is like a foreign language. And so I really get to like kind of bring the spiritual world and the tech world and marry them so that women can have success with their work.
I have to say, the funnel world is a bit of a mystery to me. I've been trying to figure it out for quite a while, and it's just a bit of an elusive mystery. So that's good to know that you're a good resource for that. I've just did this strength trust. I don't know. It's called, what is it called? Clifton Strengths or something. And strategy was my number one. And I was like, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense. This is why I love funnels so much, because strategy is strangely my number one skill. Oh my gosh.
So random. So not expected.
But no, it's not. There's nothing random in the world, really. There's no coincidences. You know, I don't know if you've ever read the book Prayer for Owen Meany by John Robbins, or I can't remember. John Irving. Prayer for Owen Meany. Oh, it's a great book. This weird little kid, Owen Meany, has all of these interests that seem so random, and these events in his life that seem so random, but they all come together for one shining moment that is his true life purpose, his reason for being on the planet. It's beautiful.
I gotta get that.
John Irving. Yeah, you got to. Prayer for Owen Meany. Well, Keira, it's been an absolute delight talking to you, and I'm just diving into your website and loving it all. So I would urge anybody to go out and check out KeiraPoulsen.com or Poulson.com and freedomhousepublishing.com. I'll put those links in the show notes. And
it's actually freedomhousepublishingco.com.
Oh, yes. So sorry. Thank you so much. I will get it right in the show notes. freedomhousepublishingco.com. Some great titles there. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's been an absolute blast.
This is so much fun. I really am just so grateful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Radiate Wellness is a community of holistic and alternative healers and consultants based in the Kansas City area, dedicated to helping you create spiritual, energetic, and physical well-being. To learn more about our practitioners, services, classes, and events, or to schedule an appointment, visit us at radiatewellnesscommunity.com.